Let's go ahead and get started. So a quick tutorial about Desmos, showing some functionality, some neat things that we're going to be using all year long, but certainly need for today's activity. So either you're at Desmos.com or you've loaded up the app. Some really quick things I want to show you. On the left here is going to be where we're going to enter all our functions. Like you see a 1 here and an empty entry field, and 2, and we can actually enter in a whole bunch more. But I actually want to show you some of the stuff on the right first. If you click this wrench, it'll help you set some graph things up. It's going to default to what you actually need, but I would actually select projector mode because it makes everything a whole lot thicker. You don't have to do that, of course. You've noticed if you do that, the lines are thicker. It does zoom in just a little bit, but zooming out is actually very easy on the app or the website. You just got to pinch zoom. Make sure you have the grid selected. This is your X and Y axis set. Again, I leave them just as they are. Pay attention down here to the ranges and domains that you're able to set. Once you go into projector mode, it's going to squeeze a little bit, and again, all you have to do is kind of squeeze out of it. The angles for now don't matter. If you ever get in trouble or you need to kind of reset your graph, this is one way you can do it. You have the plus and minus keys here, which allow you to zoom in and zoom out. But again, pinch zooming is going to do that as well. And if you click the home button, it's going to bring you to the default zoom for that mode. Since we're in projector mode, it's going to zoom kind of far in. And so let me zoom out a little bit to our standard 10 by 10 window. On this side is where you can actually enter the functions. You can actually hit the drop-down menu here if you want to add something in particular. But it's just easy to click in these blank spaces, and that's going to give you, or excuse me, tap in those blank spaces. They're going to give you space to enter the equation. So if I want to enter a function, let's say f of x, I'm doing this just typing literally. You can use a keyboard at the bottom. F of x equals, let's say 2x, let's say squared. And again, you can use actually this button right here for the squaring. You can use that button there for the x if you're on your iPad. Let's say minus 4x minus 1. Okay, so up to the side here is an on-off for your function. So if you tap that, if you have multiple functions, that's an on-off. The gear setting will give you an opportunity to look at different modes. Let's click done here. Now the cool thing about this, the reason I want you to use it, because it actually has touch interface capabilities. Meaning that if you want to find a certain point, you can just go to the line and tap it, and it'll tell you the value of that point. If you tap and hold it, you can actually use a trace feature, much like the calculator. And if you notice, a function already kind of assumes you want to know some important values, and you see them grayed out. If you hover, if you're on a computer like me, you can hover and see the values. If you're on an iPad, you can simply tap, and you can add that point to the function itself. And so let's say the task was to find some zeros, hint, hint. You can simply tap it like that and find those values. If you want to zoom in a bit so you have a better view of it, you can. And again, you just pinch zoom on the axes, up, down, left, right. That will give you an opportunity to zoom in if you're not on a computer. If you want to add a second function, it's just as easy as clicking down to the next line. Let's enter this one to be y equals x, just so we have something else. And notice there's some intersections here, so we can just tap to find that intersection. Excuse me. And so as far as like the quick functionality, that's the basic stuff you have to know. But before you go, I do want to show you some advanced stuff. And so if you click away to kill these functions, let's zoom out a bit. Desmos has an intelligent feature that allows you to build a function or play with the function's coefficients by using sliders. So let me try to explain what I mean. And so let's go back to a quadratic. Let's type g of x in like this. G of x equals, let's see, x squared. But let's say we don't actually know what our next coefficient is going to be. And so I'm going to enter it in as like a bx. And you notice right there it says to add a slider. And let's say I don't know my next value either, so I'm going to add a c. So I can click to add each individual slider, but I actually want to add them all. So notice it graphed for me a function. And that function is not going to be the family function. It's not graphing just x squared. It's taking this value of b and this value of c, and it's using it in this function. So what you actually graph right now, let me throw it down here, you've actually graphed y equals x squared plus x plus 1. And so that purple function represents the function that I currently have graphed. Now, if you notice here, I can take this slider, tap, hold it. Come back here, guy. I can tap, hold it, and I'm starting to move the function around a little bit. And the reason it's moving is because if you notice the b value right here is changing, and as I'm sliding it, the function, the red function, is graphing the b to be this changing value. And so if you had to do some speculation, maybe you had to do some function building, this might be a really wonderful way to do it because you can even change the parameters. If you tap right here where it says 10, it'll actually let you to set a range. So it defaults from negative 10 to 10, but let's say you want to do a little more fine work and you want to go from say like negative 20 to 20, and let's say we want to count by, instead of counting by full values, let's say we want to count by point ones. So if you click away, the B value is now changed to do that. And again, if you notice, like the values are changing much more precisely, which is why it makes this a really, really wonderful tool. You can change the C value too, so you can change them both. But now the function itself is going to take these B and C values, so that's just something to note. Adding sliders to a function makes this graphing software incredibly powerful, and it's something you can do to actually build a function with certain characteristics if you're so inclined to do so. Okay, so really quick recap. Over here is where you enter your functions. The keyboard will give you all the things that you're probably going to need. It even has some built-in functions here as well that aren't going to be useful now but might be useful later. You can use this X and Y and these squarings and these parentheses to help you enter what you need to enter. On the right hand is where you have all your graph controls, and then an advanced feature is if you define a coefficient using a variable like A, B, C, or D like you're used to doing, it'll give you the option to add a slider, and that slider you can actually play with values to move functions around. This play button will actually do it for you if you want to just kind of observe a function moving. It'll bounce back and forth between the ranges you define, and those ranges can be redefined by tapping on the number and then indicating a lower and upper value and what you want to count by. Alright guys, that's a quick tutorial about Desmos. Hope that helped. Make sure you finish the station efficiently because you're going to move on to the next one here in a couple minutes.